Welcome back, my friends. We're at 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 6. When Saul heard that David was discovered back in Judah, and the men who were with him, now Saul abode in Gibeah under a tree in Ramah, having his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing about him. Notes: Saul evidently was holding a formal court to decide what steps should be taken now that David had openly revolted against him. Verse 7. Then Saul said unto his servants who stood about him, Hear now, you Benjaminites. Will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards, and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds? That all of you have conspired against me, and there is none who shows me that my son has made a league with the son of Jesse, and there is none of you that is sorry for me, or shows unto me that my son has stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait at this particular day. Notes: very interesting. These statements proclaim the fact that Saul knew that there was some kind of covenant between Jonathan and David. Saul has lied so much about David that he now has come to believe his own lies. Have you ever met anyone like that? They've got a 9th degree black belt in lying, and they're so good at it that they actually trick themselves into their own deceptions. Verse 9. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, which was set over the servants of Saul, and said, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob, to Ahimelech the son of Ahitub. Notes: now this should have been translated a little bit better. It should have been translated Doeg the Edomite, who stood there with the servants of Saul. These Benjaminites would not have endured to have an Edomite set over them, believe me. Verse 10. And he inquired of the Lord for him, and gave him victuals, and gave him the sword of Goliath the Philistine. Then the king sent to call Ahimelech the priest, the son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests who were in Nob, and they came all of them to the king. Notes: they did not seem to realize what was in store for them. Verse 12. And Saul said, Hear now, you son of Ahitub. And he answered, Here I am, my lord. And Saul said unto him, Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, and that you have given him bread and a sword, and have inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me to lie in wait as it is this day? Then Ahimelech answered the king and said, And who is so faithful among all your servants as David, which is the king's son-in-law, and goes at your bidding, and is honorable in your house? Did I then begin to inquire of God for him? Be it far from me. Let not the king impute anything unto his servant, nor to all the house of my father, for your servant knew nothing of all this, less or more. Notes: Ahimelech's got some bravery right here, and Ahimelech's answers are those of an innocent man who had supposed that what he did was a matter of course. Verse 16. And the king said, You shall surely die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's house. Notes: Saul imagines conspiracies on every single hand. The wicked flee when no man pursues. Verse 17. And the king said unto the footmen who stood about him, Turn and slay the priests of the Lord, because their hand also is with David, and because they knew when he fled, and did not show it to me. But the servants of the king would not put forth their hand to fall upon the priests of the Lord. And the king said to Doeg, Turn thou, and fall upon the priest. And Doeg the Edomite turned, and he fell upon the priest, and slew on that day 75 persons who did wear a linen ephod. Notes: that was 85 people killed. The fact that they were thus clad in their official dress added not to the wickedness, but to the impiety of this revolting act. That day Saul would kill all the priests with the exception of Abiathar, who escaped and fled after David, even as we shall see. Saul would kill some 85 men of God, as well as women and children. Incidentally, Abiathar was of the line of the priest of Eli. He had a son who was also joint priest with Zadok for a while. You can find that in 1 Chronicles chapter 18, verse 16, and chapter 24, verse 6. Now King Solomon, many years later, deposed Abimelech because he espoused his brother's case or cause to be king, and Zadok became sole high priest in 1 Kings chapter 1, verse 7 through 42. And thus the prophecy of Eli of the cutting off of his house as priest was finally fulfilled. That's in 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 31. Now for Abiathar, this was the last of his line to be high priest. Eli and Abiathar were of the house of Ithamar, and Zadok was of the house of Eleazar. By this act of Saul, he caused the transfer of the Urim and the Thummim to David, and as stated, the prophecy to Eli of the cutting off of his house was fulfilled. Verse 19. And Nob, the city of the priests, smote he with the edge of the sword both men and women, children and sucklings, and oxen and asses and sheep, all of it with the edge of the sword. Notes. This act is despicable, and it was perpetuated by Saul in the killing of the priest and the massacre of all of the city of Nob, and it was an act of unparalleled horror in Jewish history for its barbarity. Nor was it an act of barbarity only, but also of insane and wanton stupidity. This is the end result of rebellion against God. Verse 20. And one of the sons of Abimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar showed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priest. And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of your father's house. Abide thou with me, and fear not, for he who seeks my life seeks your life as well. But with me you shall be in safeguard. Chapter 23. Then they told David, saying, Behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the threshing floors. Notes. By leaving Moab and coming back to Judah, and thus protecting the people from the Philistines, which Saul could no longer do, David grew in reputation and power, and from the list of those who joined him at Ziklag, 1 Chronicles chapter 12, verses 1 through 22, it is evident not only that such was the case, but that there was a strong enthusiasm for him at this time throughout not merely Judah, but pretty much the whole of Israel. Verse 2. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go and smite these Philistines? And the Lord said unto David, Go and smite the Philistines, and save Keilah. Notes. More than likely, David's means of communicating with the Lord was by the Urim and the Thummim. As we have stated elsewhere, what the Urim and the Thummim were, no one really exactly knows. It is known that whatever they were kept in some type of pocket or container in the back of the ephod. Now this was the vest-like garment worn by the great high priest. Now the word Urim means light, and the word Thummim means perfection. It seems that questions were asked, and then when the lot was drawn from the ephod, it would give a yes or no answer. That's just my own opinion on it. Don't try and take that to the bank on me, okay? Verse 3. And David's men said unto him, Behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Notes. Though David had heard from the Lord, still the men with him were not eager to fight the Philistines at all. But yet David did not proudly and scornfully scold them for their want of faith, as many would do presently, but he sympathized with their fears and said he would again ask the Lord for guidance. Verse 4. Then David inquired of the Lord yet again, and the Lord answered him and said, Arise and go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into your hand. And we must pick up in chapter 23, verse 5 of the book of 1 Samuel. Thank you, and God bless.